Okay, today I thought we would look at leaders and a couple of different ways to use leaders and MLeaders. Uh, we could call it 5 new tips or new ways to use leaders. And so I'll show you for so many years, the way that we would use them at our job is we would type LE and then we would draw the leader and then we would write the text and that's it. And then the next leader we would draw and we would maybe give it an extra little space, draw the leader, and then write the text. And that's how we use leaders. That right there. And then if we needed to change anything about it, like if we needed to stretch it, then we would just stretch it as is. And that was it. So that's fine. It works. But a couple new things that we found that you can do is you can copy an object to it. So if you go LE, hit enter, and then S for settings, then if you click over to annotation, instead of just doing mtext, you could say copy an object. And it could be any object. It could literally be text. It could be anything. So then we draw our leader just like we did before. We hit enter, and now it says select an object to copy. So I select that object, and look at that. It just pops that on there. And then if we need to change that number to whatever, then we can do that. So that's kind of a cool thing. That's one little extra if you want to do LE still, if that's the way you want to do it. What we have begun doing is using MLeaders more than just typical leaders. And one of the biggest things that I really like with MLeaders is that when you type ML, it's actually MLD, but if you type ML, it works. If you look here at the bottom, let me stretch this up a little bit. If you look at the bottom, you can start with the arrowhead. So if I type H, then it starts with the arrowhead, just like normal. And it's just my scale is off, that's all. So let's change that to there. And that's fine. But what I really like to do instead of that is to do ML, enter, and then right here it says landing first. So L for landing. And I'll show you why I really like doing that, but I'll do my landing and then just wherever it needs to go to. And then once again, I need to change this over to there. But that enables me to do something like this over here. So let's go in here to this little guy here. And let's say that we're doing a legend and we're calling out the paint colors. And so a lot of times, let me copy another one over here just so I can illustrate it better. So before, if I just did LE, then I would try to come in here and then I would click there and I would try to get it in the center, but it wouldn't be really in the center. So then I'd have to draw me a line here and straighten it up. And then I'd have to move this over there, all that stuff. If you use MLeader, then you don't have to do that. So instead, you can just start there. Of course, it's going to make me a liar right now. You can click there and then click like that. And then on the other side, do the exact same thing. Click here. I don't know why it's doing that. It's messing me up. But do that right there. Click there, and then you've got it like that. Now, that right there, I don't have a clue why it did that. So if somebody knows why it's jumping to the side of the digit instead of right on it, then let me know. But this works fantastic for us. Now, a nice other thing that you can do with MLeaders is you can add to the existing leader. So especially when you've got your leader in the center like this, if you type MLE, you notice how it just offshoots another leader right from there. So then you could have multiple leaders from the same point, just like that, which is kind of nice. One way that we like to use this is, like, let's say we do it here. So we say MLE. And you could, if you forget it, you could always just type ML and then just look down the list. We do it for like this right here, in case we want to just show that the whole room has something. And so just real quick like with one leader, I'm able to throw that together. which is pretty nice. It's convenient. All right, so we'll talk about this in a second, this MLeader style with the block. But one other thing I wanted to show you on just when you're doing MLeaders is you don't have to line it up perfectly. Like, yes, you could just do that. But let's say that you're working and you're just not taking the time to worry about that. And so your leaders are just kind of haphazard, just all over the place like that. Well, if you type MLA, which is MLeader align, and you select all those, hit enter, and then it says, which one do you want? So if I click that one, you notice it lines up every single one of them just like that. And so that's pretty handy, especially if you've got, 40 or so. You could just real quick select them all and then click the one that you want, and it lines up everything. We do all our text lining up on the left side, and so it's just helps keep everything nice and neat. All right, and then the last thing, I'm trying to keep this as quick as possible. The last thing is MLeader style with block, which is kind of cool. So if you go to MLeader and then you click on MLeader style, then you can come in here and let's just modify it. So it gives you a couple of options, and I'm just going to leave it on here just so you could see what we use. All right, and see, I got 6, so you don't have to use 6, but we never really go more than 6. So content, this is where you could have it on MText. A lot of times I keep it on none, and then we add all our text later, but block is another kind of cool way. And so with block, it has a detail call out. It's got slot, circle, box, hexagon. You could even put your own block in there as you want. So with circle, I'll show you how that works. So right there, set current, close. So then when I go ML, I click like that, I hit enter, and then it comes up with your tag number. And so then you could say, okay, this is number 4. And see, I did it backwards on that one. And then you can come over here and say, all right, this is going to be for a 1/4 inch scale. And then drag it over here like that, just like that. And then once you got your scale, if you know what your scale is going to be on your drawing, then you could just come over here to MLeader scale, and it's asking for the scale. So I could just type in 48 and then ML. We'll say it's this corner right here. ML, we want it to go from there to there. And then this is going to be 6, and hit OK. And then every one after that will be the size you want it. So once again, you don't even have to worry about lining stuff up on the first part, because then you could just do what we showed earlier with MLA, select those two, hit enter, and then select the one you want, and then it just lines it up just like you need it. So hopefully that helped. It was pretty quick, but showed you a couple of different ways that you could use leaders. Like I said, if you just like using the typical way, then maybe just adding this with copy object will help you when you're laying things out. But the thing I really like the best is this one right here, because we use this quite a bit, and then this right here. That's been fantastic. So hopefully that's something new for you. Hope it helps.